if you live in America, you are well aware, used to cops getting away with horrible behavior, like not facing consequences legally, barely facing consequences, if any, in terms of their job. But did you know that in some cases, those working in the fire departments get away with just as bad? We've got a story of a law firm that's been hired to investigate an allegation that an LA deputy fire chief was intoxicated while he was overseeing the agency's center of operations during the Palisades fire. Terrible, terrible fire. He was apparently intoxicated while he was running the response. And there was an investigation, there were no consequences, and wait until you find out how well he ended up doing after this. But first of all, I want you to meet Chief Deputy Fred Mathis. Very happy and grinny in his official photo right there. Now, LAFD rules require agency officials to deal promptly with employees that are suspected of being under the influence. That's how it's supposed to work. Apparently, complaints about his condition weren't filed for 3 days. That's a delay that the department up until now has declined to explain. The complaint says that he admitted he'd been drinking. In the meantime, a retroactive entry was logged into the city's timekeeping system days later to show that he was out sick the same day a colleague reported that he was intoxicated. So it seems like they're kind of trying to cover their tracks by implying, well, no, he's allowed to be intoxicated because he was out sick, we now say. Anyway, he apparently, although he didn't suffer any consequences, might have worried about the possibility because he retired very quickly. And because he retired within days of the conclusion of the investigation, he couldn't be disciplined. He was making $350,000 a year. He left the department with a roughly $1.4 million payout. That's on top of his annual pension of $225,000. He spent the last 7 months of his career with the LAFD on paid leave for what was called continuous trauma to an extremity. 7 months of paid leave. Now, what was that continuous trauma to the extremity? It's entirely possible. He works at the fire department. Could have been a terrible injury or something like that. They haven't said, and we have no idea. But man, at every turn, this guy, Rashad, was pulling down massive amounts of money while evading responsibility for potentially could have bungled the response to this fire over the fact that he was drunk.
Yeah, and it's that culture that told him, you can go to work drunk. He knew the culture he was working in. Let me highlight a few things here. I see a couple of things. Number one, I see a man who likely has a drinking problem, okay? I had a drinking problem. I haven't had a drink in years. I'm thankful for that. If you have an issue with drinking, get help. Get help. It's not embarrassing. It's what you got to do for yourself. Think about what this man put at risk, John. He has a job that pays over $300,000 a year. He has a culture that protects him. And he has the opportunity to get a benefit even when he engages in serious neglect as it relates to his job. Fire and alcohol do not go together.
No.
This man is in an impaired state, being in charge of command. Here's the thing that baffles me, John. If they knew the man was drunk afterward, they knew he was drunk when he was drunk. Nobody relieved him of command, even though there's a protocol to do so in both fire and law enforcement. There's a protocol to relieve someone of command. He's the deputy chief, he's not the chief. He's not totally in charge, but nobody relieved him of command. They allowed him to remain drunk. They allowed him to remain in charge because that was the culture he was in.
Exactly, and you're 100% right about the culture, but also specifically the culture of if you're powerful and you're white.
And white, that's right.
Let you get away with it. And that's not just us saying this. This is people working in there saying that when it comes to non-white employees of the fire, like the fire department, that is not what they expect to see. Battalion Chief Chris Larson said, if it were me as an African-American female, I would be put on 60 days off leave, suspension with no pay for an accusation like that.
Yeah, she probably would have got arrested, John. I don't know if that would have, that to me sounds light, honestly. I think something much more severe would have happened if she would have been drunk in command.
Exactly, yeah, that's certainly the fear. But this guy, I don't know what can be done. Now that he's out, he got his money, a massive amount of money. He's gonna be making way more than the vast majority of the American public for the rest of his life during his retirement. After, I mean, God only knows what else happened during his career. If he's treating the Palisades fire so casually, it's not the first fire California's had to deal with.
That's right, and listen, the law statistic says if you got caught drinking, that's not the first time you've been drinking in that kind of situation. That's what statistics says, yeah.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.